QD Learning.
Hi everyone, I'm so excited to announce our sales and marketing campaign starts this month, March 1st, 2024. I'm so glad we invited Coach Shelton here, ask him some questions for students who are interested in debating but have not taken any hour classes. So here we go. Coach Shelton, please introduce yourself before we start.
My name is Professor Shelton Hill, and I am one of the coaches here at QD. And I teach just about everything from all the speech events to basic public speaking. And I am starting up a new young entrepreneurs class where I'll also be teaching business.
Thank you very much, Coach Shelton. I love your background. You're sitting in the middle of the belly of the bear.
Well, that's one way to look at it.
Okay. So, Coach Shelton, can you tell me what inspired you to become a public speaking and debate coach?
I never wanted to be a debate coach. In fact, I never wanted to be a teacher. My mother was a teacher, and she was always hard on me and gave me a lot of homework. So I did a lot of studying for tests, and I promised myself I would never be a teacher. And I was one of those kids that loved to read, so I was usually ahead of the class. And so while the rest of the class was doing other stuff, I would be bored. I would sit in the back of the classroom and I would find other things to do. And consequently, I would do excellent on exams, but homework, I just didn't want to be bothered. And so as time progressed, I got more and more bored all the way up until I entered college. When I entered college, I was a philosophy major, and I was in the classroom with a teacher that I didn't like, and the guy next to me started making fun of the teacher. And so I started making fun of the teacher. And we ended up becoming best friends, and it just so happens that he was captain of the speech team. And so he comes to me and he says, "Hey, you need to come check out this speech competition that we're doing." And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. He says, go find a piece of poetry and show up here at this college. And so I liked the guy and it sounded interesting. So I showed up and I didn't really know what he meant by poetry. So I picked a really popular rap song. And so I walked into my first round and I'm seeing these people get up and give these fantastic performances of literature I'd never even heard before. And so I stand up and I do my little rap poem and I get my ballots back and they're like, you have real potential in this. So the next tournament, I was prepared and I had gotten some coaching and I started taking speech classes and I started to win. And it felt really, really good. Now I got real interested in school. I would go into school and I would look for things that I knew I could talk about in my speeches, for my speech tournaments. I would get help from professors. And that went on for a long time. I ended up getting a scholarship to a debate school. I ended up doing very, very well in all speech events and debate. And then college ended. And I didn't want to end competition. I had so many friends. I was having so much fun. It was some of the most fantastic times of my life. I didn't want to give it up. And so I went to my coach and I said, "How can I keep doing this activity?" And he said, "Become a coach." I said, "Great. What do I have to do that?" He said, "Get a master's degree." So I did. And a few years later, I began coaching. And it was the start of a 25-year career in teaching argumentation and debate and coaching forensics. And that's how I became a coach.
Thank you so much for sharing your story from your elementary school all the way down to the college and then become a PhD. It sounds very inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing. You're in
Almost.
the good spot. As I repeat, you're sitting in the belly of the bear. Question two. I think our student, they probably must be very interested. How do you approach like a teaching beginners in public speaking or debate? Do you have any like a special teaching style? Maybe can interest a lot of students to come as a beginner.
I don't know that I have a special style, but I do know that when I began teaching public speaking, and I think the biggest problem that people have with public speaking, and the evidence says this all over the world, is fear of public speaking. People don't want to stand up in front of a group of people and talk. I don't know if it's something that's just innate in human beings or if it's just something that we develop. But the first thing we have to do is figure out that we all get nervous. It's okay to be afraid of public speaking. Everybody gets afraid. Even I, after doing it for so many years, I'm afraid to speak sometimes. We teach our students, or at least I teach my students first, how to deal with the fear of public speaking. Then we move on to, well, what do I say? How do I say it? And for that, I teach organization. I teach basic patterns that can be used actually in a couple of our events, extemp, persuasive, impromptu. They all use pretty much the same speech pattern. And so by teaching that speech pattern and also teaching my students how to brainstorm and use that pattern to discuss topics, now they know what to say and how to say it. And they have the confidence. And then we throw them in the pool and see if they can swim. No, we're not that harsh. Actually, we guide them in the process. We have speech competitions in class and practice. Then we take them to competition. And I believe that public speaking is one of those things that you'll learn most by competing. You never know how good you are, and you never really understand how it works until you do it. But if you're willing to take the time to learn how to speak well and learn what debate is all about, and we'll guide you every step of the way, you're going to have some fantastic moments where you're going to be standing on stage, holding an award, proud of the work that you've done as you receive all the applause, as people recognize you're good at communication.
I love that. I love you mentioned like debating and public speaking is like a journey. Your philosophy tells us like it takes time. You can make yourself good if you want to take a next step. Thank you for that. And I have the number three question for you. Can you give us a success story of the student who started from the scratch?
Well, it's funny you mentioned how if a student will keep at it, they'll be successful. I had a student I was coaching in San Diego, and she was very bright, very bright. She was a gifted writer. I was amazed at how she could just organize and put together speeches overnight. She was the same way with her papers. And she'd been hanging around college for a while, taking classes here, classes there, not really with any focus, similar to how I was when I was in community college. Then one day, she just got inspired. She knew she wanted to be great in forensics, but she also recognized that she had learned the skills through debate to be a fantastic writer and a fantastic student. Now, the amazing thing was I knew this student for about 5 or 6 years. And for the first 3 years, she was just kind of floating. But when she got serious, not only did she finish her undergrad, she went on to get her master's and then went on to get her PhD in just a few years. She didn't stop. And all the time she was competing. And even now, she is the director of one of the biggest community college programs in Southern California. It was amazing to see this student grow from just a little freshman college kid hanging out to go all the way to PhD and become director of a huge winning program. It was amazing. That's the kind of things I like to see, and that's what makes my teaching worth it.
Thank you for sharing this successful story when the students just wondering their skills and then they take further steps, they keep learning and they become a successful professional in the OC. I'm so glad. I feel like I was enlightened by your speaking already.
Well, thank you.
Regarding the new student, do you have some like advices to who and the student and parents who a little bit afraid to take the public speaking? Do you have any recommendation to prepare to get the starting of the journey?
Well, I would recommend being patient. Like with any new skill, especially a skill that's this important to life, it's going to take time before you master it. You're going to learn by trial and error, especially when you get out and you start competing and actually learning how to be better. You see, we believe that iron sharpens iron. And rather than simply sitting in a classroom and taking exams, we take you out and show you how to apply what you have learned. So be prepared for that. This isn't your normal college class. This isn't a college or high school class. It's not even a middle school or elementary class. This is an opportunity for your student to take what they have learned in their classes and apply it, to talk about subjects that they might not have considered before, to be able to make critical arguments defending their point of view. These are the skills that they're going to use as they go on to college and as they go on in their career. Now, when I was coming up, doing speech, debate, public speaking, I had a lot of friends in that circuit. And I would say that 90% of them went on to get high paying jobs and the rest became teachers. No, I'm kidding. A lot of them went on to do jobs ranging from teachers. A lot of them became attorneys. Some of them went on to become politicians and actually became governors. I know people that have gone on to star in TV shows, to be on Broadway. When you have the ability to communicate, to express your ideas accurately and in a way people can understand, that opens the door to so much opportunity. So my number one recommendation would be to, first of all, be patient. We use a lot of jargon, a lot of words that don't make sense, but they will once you get started. Number two, have faith in your coaching staff. As long as you remain teachable and coachable, we can help you achieve those goals and go on to do fantastic things. And the third piece of advice is, what are you waiting for? Sign up.
In the Little Orators class, your child would embark on a confidence-building journey where they will learn to express themselves clearly and carefully. This class serves as a stepping stone towards developing strong communication skills and fostering a love for storytelling and public speaking that will benefit them in all aspects of life.